Have you ever stopped to think about the price you pay to keep a smile on your face when, inside, all you have is a scream stuck in your throat? The truth is that there are a lot of people out there pretending to be fine, pretending that their marriage is great, that their dream job still makes sense, that the everything is fine on WhatsApp is real when their heart is imploding inside. This has a name, disguised unhappiness, and it takes a heavy toll. We were taught that complaining is weakness, that venting is drama, that saying you're feeling bad is playing the victim. So what do? We pretend, we put on a filter of happiness, we smile in photos. We accept invitations we don't want, we stay in relationships that don't nourish us. Also as not to bother, to not worry, to not disappoint. But what no one told you is that this mask has a price, and it's not cheap. Pretending to be okay creates an anxiety that corrodes, an empty life that no one sees, a mental exhaustion that comes without warning. While the world applauds your strength, you are there, alone, not knowing how to get out of the hole you dug smilingly. And you know what's worse? The more you hide it, the more trapped you become. The harder it is to ask for help, the more shameful it seems to admit, I'm not okay. So I ask you, how many times have you smiled so as not to worry anyone? How many times have you pretended that everything was fine just to avoid a difficult conversation? Pretending to be happy is the perfect recipe for creating a delayed action emotional bomb. And the question I leave in the air is, who are you trying to protect when you nullify yourself like this? Others or yourself? Let's be real here. Hiding that you're unhappy doesn't make you strong, it makes you a hostage. Because faking well-being isn't maturity, it's self-sabotage disguised as resilience. Have you ever noticed how we have normalized suffering in silence? How it has almost become a rule not to show weakness. You may be emotionally exhausted, at your limit, crying in the bathroom at work. But if someone asks you how you are, your automatic response is always everything is fine. Everything is fine, even when everything inside you is wrong. And the question remains, who are you lying to anyway, to others or to yourself? When you hide your unhappiness, you're not avoiding a problem, you're feeding it. It's like sweeping broken glass under the rug and pretending you didn't cut your foot. It's going to hurt, it's going to get infected, it's going to get worse. How many times have you found yourself living on autopilot, getting out of bed out of obligation, going to work as if it were a war mission, coming home and pretending to be happy just to keep up appearances? There's a name for this, emotional exhaustion. And it loves to disguise itself as normal life. It's that feeling of being surrounded by people, but feeling completely alone, of being in a relationship and still feeling abandoned, of living an entire routine that you didn't choose anymore, but you keep repeating for fear of what people will think if you say, I'm not happy anymore. Hiding this is a terrible idea because it turns you into a ticking time bomb. You become that person who explodes over the smallest thing, who cries out of the blue, who gets angry over nothing, but it's not nothing. It's just the accumulation of what you forced yourself to swallow quietly. And the world around you doesn't even notice. Because you've always been strong, centered, mature, because you've learned to hide it well. Because you're the kind of person who holds everyone's bar except for yourself. Let's talk about this honestly. How many times have you laughed in public and cried in the shower? How many times have you said it's okay and then couldn't sleep, thinking about it all over again? How many times have you accepted less than you deserved because you thought complaining would be dramatic? And most importantly, how many times have you swallowed your pain so as not to bother anyone? This is not strength, this is emotional torture, and it slowly consumes you. Without making any noise, it steals the sparkle in your eyes, the energy to try again, the will to fight for something different, and in the end, all that's left is a body that's functioning on the outside and imploding on the inside. Does it seem like an exaggeration? It's not. Just ask anyone who has ever had an anxiety attack in the middle of a normal day. Anyone who woke up with no desire to get up, anyone who looked in the mirror and didn't recognize themselves anymore, anyone who is always smiling on Instagram but hasn't smiled at themselves in months. This reality is more common than you might think. The difference is that many people don't talk about it because it's embarrassing to admit that you're unhappy, because it seems like weakness to admit that something isn't going well, because we've learned that the right thing to do is to put up with it, not to complain. To be grateful, even when gratitude has become a prison. But I'll tell you one thing, no one is obliged to endure a life that makes no sense just to avoid disappointing others. You are not ungrateful for being dissatisfied. You are not weak for wanting to change. You are not selfish for thinking of yourself. You are human. And humans do suffer, they get frustrated, they get tired. And they have the right not to pretend that everything is fine when it is not. But as long as you keep masking your pain, no one will be able to help you. And maybe even you won't be able to anymore. So I ask you, in all honesty, when was the last time you were honest about how you feel? Comment here, talk to me, without filters, without judgment. Without fear of seeming like a drama queen or problematic. This space here is real. And sometimes, venting in a comment is the first step to letting the pain out of your body. Have you ever experienced something like this? Have you ever felt trapped in a role you no longer wanted to play? Have you ever realized that your happiness was taking a backseat, just so as not to shake the stability of others? If so, comment. And if you haven't, pay attention, because one day you might. And how good it would be if, on that day, you already knew that hiding your unhappiness was never a solution. It was just a delay in the healing process. The truth is simple and cruel. No one will rescue you from the hole you dug yourself by smiling. So, while there's still time, think, is it really worth continuing to pretend? There comes a time when you get tired. Tired of forced smiles, of pretending to be enthusiastic, of saying everything is fine when your heart is in ruins. Tired of trying to maintain an image that no longer matches your truth. And do you know what comes after this tiredness? Freedom, because life changes, for real, when you decide to stop lying to yourself, when you admit, without shame, that you're unhappy, that something isn't working, that you can't stand to keep up a good front while you're falling apart inside. That's when the mask falls, and yes, it's scary, because you know that a lot of things are going to change. Some people are going to move away, not everyone is going to understand, but honestly, the ones who stay when you show your pain are the ones who really see you, and from there, you start breathing again. The first breath after so much time pretending is strange. It seems like your whole body is unfamiliar with the relief, but it comes little by little. You start to remember who you were before you fell silent. You start to discover new paths, new desires, new versions of yourself that were suffocated under so much. It's okay, and most importantly, you start to respect yourself. Start saying no without guilt. Start moving away from those who drain your energy. Start setting limits where before you only set silence. Start listening to yourself, because when you silence your pain for too long, you also silence your intuition. But when he starts talking, everything changes. You start to realize that pretending doesn't protect you, it pushes you away. That hiding doesn't make you stronger, it weakens you. That being strong all the time is just a way to keep hurting yourself in peace. And in place of hidden unhappiness comes a new kind of courage. It is not the kind of courage that beats your chest and says you can handle anything. It is the courage to admit that you don't want to take it anymore, that you deserve to really live. So, if you've made it this far, I just want to tell you one thing: allowing yourself to feel is not weakness. It is an act of self-love. And if no one has told you this today, let me be the first. You don't have to pretend anymore. It's okay if you're not okay. It's okay if you want to change. And it's high time you put your peace above other people's opinions. You know that fear of disappointing others? It's nothing compared to the pain of disappointing yourself day after day, just to keep up a charade. He arrives. It's time to stop hiding behind a smile, to stop using the strong as a shield, to stop playing the role of an extra in your own life. You deserve to be the protagonist, even if it means changing everything, even if it scares you, even if it makes others uncomfortable. Your happiness is not a burden, it is a right, and you don't need to ask permission to pursue it. Now take a deep breath. If this video made sense to you, if it touched a nerve or sparked courage, subscribe to the channel. This is a place for those who are tired of pretending, for those who are ready to live more truthfully, even if it's uncomfortable at first. We will talk about this together, with sincerity, with courage, with respect for every pain you have hidden until today. And before you leave, comment here. What have you been pretending for too long? Vent, let it out. Sometimes a comment is the beginning of your liberation. After all, pretending to be happy